Hello, this is Mark Fehr from MJF Farms, located here in West Bend, Iowa, and just wanted to share a little of our experience with the Treffler harrow. We purchased our first one about 3 years ago. Before that, all we had was a spike-tooth McFarlane harrow, and all we did then with that was pre-merge. But we wanted to be able to do some tining after the crop was up, and so we had very good experience with the Treffler. It was an idea of getting a Hatzenbickler versus the Treffler, but I just really liked the way that the Treffler was sold to me, and that it each tine, the way it's designed, as you put more pressure on it, if you go over a hill or in a valley, it still has the same amount of pressure on the ground versus a spring tine. If you go over a hill, you get a lot more aggressive. So it's a lot more gentle on the growing crop. And our first couple years we had it, Mother Nature wasn't so nice to us, and we had very short windows to go in and tine, and a lot of times it was really almost too wet. But it helped us improvise, actually, and we found a way to, by actually taking 5 of the tines right up above the row and zip tying them to the frame, we could almost go twice as fast and get twice as many acres done by doing that. And those tines would just roll enough dirt in and cover the weeds that actually the next couple of years, we basically parked our cultivators, deferred cultivation for a couple of weeks, and just run the Treffler, and don't run no shields on our cultivators, because usually the corn's big enough we can go without shields in the cultivator, and does a really nice job. The second year, we actually ended up picking up some more ground, and I actually ended up buying a used Hatzenbickler, and so we got to run them side by side, and my 2 boys and me, and by the end of the year, it was obvious that we were very happy that we got a Treffler. And probably the biggest thing is the tines on a Treffler are basically just tines. They're not a spring tine, so they're hinged. And you have a spring pulling them straight forward. So that tine goes exactly where it's being pulled. Where the Hatzenbickler, it seemed like, especially on the wheel tracks, on the springs would get lazy, and they would, instead of staying up in the row where they wanted to be, they would fall down into the trench or where the track was. So and you didn't have the Hatzenbickler had the rolling baskets that would pivot, and so when you were trying to do, take 5 tines up and try to, with RTK, go straight and roll that corn in, the Treffler has a rigid frame, so once you determine where your row is, it did a very nice job of doing it perfect. Where the Hatzenbickler seemed once in a while the basket would roll and it would maybe move over 2 inches this way or 2 inches that way, and so. It's so easy to adjust too. It has a scale from 1 to 10, and you can put anyone in it and tell them, especially if you got 2 of them going in the same field, and you figure out what you like or what works the best, you just go to 8. And sometimes in our heavy trash, sometimes you have to reduce the pressure to feather the trash out a little bit, but then you go right back to your next setting. And we just really loved it. There were spots where we had grass starting to look like a lawn, especially on soybeans. Soybeans are very, very, they just handle a lot of abuse, I guess. And there were some spots where we'd back up and maybe tine 2 times in a row, back to back. And that second time, the grass, we weakened it the first time. The second time, took the grass completely out. And it's probably the most important piece of equipment we have, almost, I would say, in our organic operation. And so I would highly recommend a Treffler. Thank you.